And I want to start by sharing a poem. It's my favorite poem about grief. It's called Loss. It's by a poet named Gregory Orr. That's O-R-R, in case you want to look him up. Here's Loss by Gregory Orr. Not the loss alone, but what comes after. If it ended completely at loss, the rest wouldn't matter. But you go on, and the world also. And words in a poem or a song, aren't they a stream on which your feelings float? Aren't they also the banks of that stream, and you yourself the flowing? I love this poem because I think it captures so many truths about the grief process. Grief in general, but also grief particularly for betrayed partners. And so I just want to point out a few things from it that stand out as we get started here. The poem starts out, not the loss alone, but what comes after. And for so many women and men who have experienced the discovery of hidden betrayal, the discovery of a partner's sex addiction, it's not about that moment of discovery alone. It's not about what has come crashing down in that moment in isolation, but what comes after that. It's the now what. It's the, and how does this impact my relationship with my children, with my in-laws, with my church community, with my, and on my neighbors. Not the loss alone, but what comes after. If it ended completely at loss, the rest wouldn't matter. For so many who've been betrayed, life doesn't stop right there. They have to keep going, which I've had partners in excruciating pain cry out, understandably, with angst, kind of asking their God, why, oh, why would you have me go on and live this way? But I think that's important to understand. It's what comes after the initial loss and the devastation. This person has to learn now to navigate. The poem goes on, but you go on and the world also. And so you continue moving through time. You continue moving forward, developing, being and becoming, and the world alongside you. And sometimes in light of the shattering of your reality, you want to say, hey, hold on, tap the brakes here. Hold on, I can't keep going. How can you keep going? How can, maybe even looking at the one who did the betraying and saying, how can you keep showing up and performing at work? How can you keep interacting with our kids like that? How can you go and act like that at church when this has happened? And the world just keeps moving and they keep being carried along as well. The second half of the poem has a little bit of a shift and a little bit of a change in focus. It reads again, and words in a poem or a song, aren't they a stream on which your feelings float? And here, this is talking about the power of words, the power of narrative, of story, be it a poem, be it a song, to be a vehicle and an expression of what's happening as we and the world have to continue on in light of this loss and in light of how the world didn't completely end at that point. The power of words as that vehicle for expressing our feelings floating on these words. We're going to talk a lot later in this podcast about the power of words and your story to move through grief. And then the final lines of the poem sort of shifts that metaphor of a stream. It shifts it slightly. So listen to these final words. Aren't they also, they being the words, aren't they also the banks of that stream, and you yourself the flowing? So the words go from being the water in the stream on which our feelings float to the banks of the stream in which we're flowing. And so what that's talking about there is words acting as a container, words containing the reality, words acting as those banks that allow us to keep moving forward, so it's not spilled out everywhere, but there's a direction and there's forward movement. And there is so much power in words, in story, to carry us forward in this process of grief. Hey, Dr. Jake here. I just want to say, if you've enjoyed this content, you might find yourself helped by my brand new program, the Choose Connection Academy. Years in the making, what I've finally done is I've taught through my entire couple-centered recovery model and created an online coaching program for couples to be able to work with me and move through this process of healing and recovery together. It is broken into different levels based on where you are in your journey. It includes video teaching that you can access at any time, exercises for you to do as a couple, community of others moving through this same material, access to live group coaching calls with me every single week, as well as a number of other bonus resources and opportunities for you. Just take a look at the link down in the comments below. We'd love to have you book a call to be a part of the Choose Connection Academy.